Okay. Now, how did you get started in the landscaping business? What got you into that? What's your life story?
Really, I was a young 7, 8 year old kid, and my father had his own small lawn care business, literally just a push mower and 30 lawns and tools from Home Depot, basic stuff. Summertime, he'd bring me with him. Parents were divorced, and he'd bring me with to cut grass. So next thing I know, I'm a kid out in the sun in the summer pushing a push mower at some property, and my father would give me, I think it was like $4 a lawn. So there I am, addicted to making money at now 10, 11, 12 years old, helping my father cut grass. I'm weed whipping and blowing with the blower, and I got started getting good at it, and I liked the money too. Lunchtime, we'd go get some Chinese food or stop at the mall, the food court, and then be back out cutting lawns. And we were only cutting maybe 5 lawns a day, but there I am, a 12-year-old kid with 50, $60 in my pocket, and I liked it. I got good at it. Well, fast forward a few years, I'm 17 years old, and I've had tons of jobs working in restaurants. I grew up around auto care centers because my family does that, cleaning up and portering parts and shops and around transmissions and stuff like that. But I really like the landscape because I like working outside. After doing some jobs and factory jobs working inside, I was like, I can't do that. I can't feel confined. So I got a job at a landscaping company. I lied about my age on a job application. Started going out,
You
more
did the
lawn care.
stripper thing. You did the
What's that?
stripper thing. Strippers lie. Like, I was in a club a long time ago, and this girl scared me because I knew who she was, and I knew that she wasn't 18. She was like 16, and she was on stage.
Oh man, that's sad. That's
Yeah, I told her
a lot of
money.
stuff out there. I worked in bars and nightclubs back when I was 18, 19, 20. Bar backing. I always wanted to be a bartender. And what I liked about it, I liked the environment, the music, and I could get like $160, 18-year-old kid, in cash tips in a night. Now, being working in bars for 2 years, there were times where I would have, you know, girls come up to try to see me or try to take me home, and I was just kind of grossed out by that. I never once ever hooked up or even dated anybody in the bars. I just felt like I don't know you, I wasn't like that at all. That was just always kind of creepy to me. But I liked working in the bar, and I wanted to be a bartender because I saw the guys flipping the stuff on fire and making all the money. And
Right,
then one day
right.
I got my shot to actually be a bartender. And it was the worst experience I ever had because I experienced what it was like to serve alcohol to people who would be going out driving and getting in accidents. And it was very negative experience. And I got out of that as soon as possible and went into landscaping for myself. But I got a job at a landscape company, and I'm like, hey, Dad, let's go into business together. He's like, no, Keith, you're too choleric or too, I wouldn't say bossy, but he thought I would try to call all the shots and run everything. So I'm like, whatever. I went to work for a company, and I worked jobs for the next 10 years, landscaping as a foreman, a supervisor, a crew chief, crew leader. And I always thought that the answer was the lies that I had been told by employee-minded family members and a lot of broke people saying, if you work hard and impress the boss, you'll get a raise and everything will be okay. And that was just a bunch of, can I cuss on here?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was,
yes. We cuss at the Hustler Mindset Project. Oh,
okay.
I
I'm a
got a
big fan of
survey where I asked people. It's like, and most of them love it. Some people it turns off, but they just opt out. They're not my viewer. They're someone else's viewer. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, and he cusses a lot if you know who he is. But
Yeah, I know who he is.
there's two different ways you can cuss. One is out of insecurity to try to fill in gaps, and another one is true
It
expression.
just comes out. It just you don't even think about it. It just comes out. But no, the profanity thing is really interesting because part of my journey of doing this is I haven't had a job since 2000, and I've always, when I did have jobs, I always felt constricted. I couldn't be myself. I couldn't say anything. I used to work in the hospital. I was really, really good at what I did. I used to work in the emergency room. I used to put IVs and needles in kids and adults. And I was bigger than I am now because I was really seriously bodybuilding back then. And it was just this huge dichotomy. I would walk in the room and they would think I was going to rip shit off the wall. And then I would like calm their kid down and do what I had to do. And they were like amazed I could do it. But the long story short, I've always been like this. And I said, when I got in business for myself, I was going to be who I was. And if no one didn't like it, hey, that just meant we shouldn't be doing business or we shouldn't be around each other. And the freedom that comes from that is intoxicating. Once you get a taste of that, you can't go back to a regular situation. You just can't. It's just impossible. Impossible. And people will try to put you back in there because of their own insecurities. Because I was thinking about like the name of your channel, the landscaping employee trap. How did you come up with that? Because, you know, is that something that happens? People get a job and they just remain an employee for 10, 20 years, or that was just a fancy play on words? How did you come up with that?
It's a good question, because I've recently been thinking, now that I understand more about marketing and phonographic loops and the way that words like Coca-Cola, it rhymes, and it also insinuates what we used to be in the drink.
Yeah.
So when you hear it, it keeps ringing in the head, names of companies and things like that. But I really broke it down strategically. I said, okay, so the landscaping employee who feels trapped in his dead-end landscaping job, he wants to start a business. And I said, you know, that might not make sense to people, but if there's a guy who's stuck in a dead-end grass cutting job and he feels miserable like I did, he's going to be like, that's me. Well, the funniest thing happened. All these lawn care companies and different people just in the whole industry altogether started coming onto the channel who might not understand what that meant. And I didn't expect that to happen, that huge dynamic range of audience to come on. I was speaking to specifically a small group of people.
I'm going to tell you what happened. Actually, I got the answer for that. I got a course I got this course called 24-Hour Startup. And I took stuff from copywriting courses and other things, and I write fiction, and I'm an artist. Yeah. One of the things that I learned, and this came from chicks, I used to write love letters. Yeah, I still do. Whenever I would write that one person, it has such widespread appeal. But whenever I tried to write something general, it went nowhere. So when you were talking to one type of person, you were just drilling it down to the guy who was like, fuck, I want to get out of here. I want to do my own thing. You pulled everyone else in. That's one of the things I say in the course is create an avatar of who your customer is, that one person, not 20, not 30, one person. And you'll be amazed at what happens when you niche down, because in your mind, you're thinking you're not going to get that many people, which is true, but who you get will be someone who's qualified to watch what you do, or, you know, they'll take your message in more readily because they're already qualified, because as soon as they come to your channel, it's like, oh, the landscaping employee trap. They know what it's about, and either they're going to eat or they're going to leave. And the thing is, you got a business channel. And I don't know if you noticed this. Most channels on YouTube are not business. It's a whole different animal to put together a business YouTube channel versus a regular channel. And most people have regular channels and they don't know, because the thing is, you need a theme, you need a skilo, you need some kind of motive to go with it. So that's why it's happening. You've got a lot of people in, because I think I was looking at maybe Gary, and one of your videos popped up maybe a year ago.
That's interesting. I think I actually, I'm a fan of Vaynerchuk, and I've read a lot of his books and watched his stuff. I went on a Gary Vaynerchuk binge for 2 weeks straight, just watching all his stuff. And I tag him in some of my stuff because Stanley Genetic from the Landscape Business Pro podcast, phenomenal guy. He's like, this guy, Keith Kalfas, is the Gary Vaynerchuk of landscaping. I'm like, whoa. But I said, if somebody sees a similarity in the personality, maybe I could try to tag those together and try to, you know what I mean? Great artist steal type deal. And that's all SEO optimization, marketing tactics, and things like that. And then as far as the diversity of audience, it's really a strategy to go in, and it's like I look at it like the hands of a clock. You post personal stuff about your personal life and bring people into your personal environment, which takes vulnerability, and there's power in that. Then on the next hand, you're talking real hardcore business talk about real situations and issues that happen inside of business. Like you meet people in a conversation that's already going on in their head. You don't have to educate them on it. You talk about something that they're already thinking about, but you verbalize it. Then the next step is come in with some funny comedy and do things that are entertaining to keep the attraction going. And then next is like real strategies to get the ball rolling, real how-to stuff that can really help change the quality of someone's life or business or help them take the leap. And I believe that when you combine all those, it's not just one thing. You're giving them facts tell, stories sell. When you bring them into a story and you are admitting your own faults along the way, it's kind of like a journey, and people feel like they can relate, and they really can, because this is what really happens in my life. Now, I don't come when I'm having anxiety or I'm depressed or going through some hardcore bullshit. I don't come on my channel and talk about that. I don't come on my channel and start whining and crying, bitching and complaining about stuff, unless it's in a goofy, funny way that shines light on a powerful lesson, unless there's a solution to it. And because I see like things at sea level, 0 and anything above, it can go on the channel. If it's below that or negative stuff like that, I'm not going to make a video about it, because everybody knows about what's going on negative in their life or in their business already. Why would they want to hear some guy on YouTube bitch about it? I want to talk about solutions.
You rants. Okay, let's talk about. There's a difference between whining and a rant. Like today, Gary just put up this video on his page about going to college for business. Now I did a video in 2011 called The Degree Myth, and I caught much flack about it, a lot of flack. When you sit down and do the numbers and you subtract the doctors, the engineers, people who had to go to school to get their job, the income differential is marginal or non-existent. And no one really tells kids that, and they go out there and it's like, I'm getting a degree, I'm going to be successful. The next thing you know, they got $80,000 for student loan debt, and they're still in their mother's and father's house. That's why. It's why. I got a friend, his name is Aaron Clary. We've talked about it. He's got a whole channel. He's wrote a book called Worthless Degrees, because essentially, going back to the rant thing, I have found out, like, I've had days where you're on YouTube, you get the same question over and 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 over. At a certain point, you just don't want that question anymore. And I would just have these days where I would just let it out, but not in a whiny way, versus more of, many people don't know how to search. Many people, this is an education thing, and sometimes it's not their fault, because the educational system we have is not the one that I went through. I mean, I went through an educational system that had consequences. If you didn't do your schoolwork, they left your ass behind. You got flunked and embarrassed.
Yep.
So I had a friend, he got left back, not once, but twice. And we were going from middle school to, we're going from elementary to middle school. He was still there. Man, that dude changed in the summer. He was so embarrassed. It's like he could do the work. He just wasn't motivated to do the work. And he's an attorney now. This is a guy that got left back. It's just they woke him up early. And I think part of the deal is so many people are so used to being pushed through that they don't know how to push themselves. And then they run into a roadblock and then they want to whine. But yeah, I'm telling you, you can do a rant. You can do a rant and it will get, man. I did it right. And I was like, I take chances on my channel.
Yeah.
Tons of chances. And I was surprised that when I did one, because I used to do them about Storage Wars, because the shows were scripted. And I don't know them, but I've talked to some of the people on the shows, and I used to do it for real. So it's like, that's not how it goes. And I used to just do these rants. And I woke up one morning and I was like, I had a lot of sales. And it's like, it was after that crazy rant. And then I did another rant and I had a lot of sales. I don't know what it was about the rants, but I think it's just how you do it. Not so much the rant itself, but how you do it. But don't be afraid of ranting. Like, hey, some people come to the channel like, my big toe hurt. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that either. I think that's bad. But if you got something on your chest, especially since you're in business for yourself, and that's something that many people think, that little meme where it's like what people really think I do, and then they show what they're really doing. That's like business. I've told people, so there are no magic jelly beans. It's like every day you get up and work. You get up and work. You get up and work. And some people are like, no, yeah, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. And that's why I reached out to you and brought you on, because I know how hard it is to run a landscaping company. I had one for a little while.
Oh wow, then you know.
Well, no, I bought a unit that had a landscaping trailer in it. And you know me, it's like instead of selling it, I was like, I'll just go in the landscaping business. Man, I was like, good Lord. It was like right when the seasons was changing. It was brutal work. And I hired people and I did some work. And then eventually I just sold the trailer and let the guy start his own business because you are physically moving all fucking day long, all day. And I was like, this is not for me. So my hat's off to you because it's a hard business. It's a very hard business.
It gets excruciating at times where something like when I'm up in the morning and when I get to the first job site, it could take a few hours just to get the pain to subside physically so I can start going again because there's swelling in every joint and every muscle. But
one tip on that: take flaxseed oil. It will help with inflammation like you wouldn't believe. It's real cheap. It's like $12 for some gels. Take like 6 a day, and it will help your joints tremendously.
okay, I'll do that. I make green nutrient shakes in the morning, like green vibrance, maximum vibrance, all different types of organic vegan shakes.
Oh yeah, and keep doing that. But I'm telling you because
flax oil in there because they've got it omega-3 flax.
yeah, I'm telling us like I know I'll send you a picture of it, but I do powerlifting and like my knees were killing me at one point, and I just started taking the flaxseed oil for one thing, and I just noticed that my knee pain went away and the swelling went away, and I read up on it, and that's what it's good for. So
yeah, I'll do that right away.
You want to get to like 6 a day. It's pretty safe. It's not like fish oil, and I'm telling you, you will feel it in about a week or two, maybe sooner. But it makes a world of difference. A world of difference in joint pain.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that immediately. I was like taking health food nutrition advice. I'm a huge health food junkie. I'm a vegetarian. We eat a lot of organic foods at home, and I'm actually hypochondriac. I'm always like super germ freak, and so I spend probably $1,000 a month just on organic supplements. And I'm like the shakes I'd make in the morning are probably $20, and following the wife around here, drink this, and here. Sorry, my phone.
You got a vitamin shoppy up there? A vitamin shop?
Yeah.
I got the rewards card. I spend anywhere from about $300 to $400 a month there alone. There's other stuff I get, and I got a $200 certificate last year from buying so much. So yeah, I totally get that.
I just watched a lot of documentaries in the past. Before I had started business, I was in this kind of victim mindset, and I was convinced that the world was falling apart. And I started getting all these crazy conspiracy documentaries, and then I got afraid of the water, I got afraid of the air, the food, that everything's contaminated. But it actually was kind of like a good education because now I don't drink tap water. I don't eat, fast food and things like that because I see what happened to me when I did. I'm 32 now. I was a 24-year-old guy with a somewhat unhealthy diet. And I was walking around like I was 60 years old, just with joint pain and inflammation. And I felt I didn't have any energy. And then I watched a huge seminar, Anthony Robbins, talking about go green and eat healthy and the 7.2 pH balance in the body by eating, nutritious, healthy vegetables.
This is getting real good. I have not really drunk tap water since maybe 98 because of Brita water pitcher. And, this baking soda, maybe once a day or every other day will straighten out that pH balance in a lot of ways. Because I'll tell you a little trick. If you're going to the gym, take some baking soda, maybe an hour, 30 minutes, an hour before, and you'll get crazy pumps. It's crazy. So, I'm totally 100% there because the thing is, when I was going through the struggle, there was no health insurance. So I had to stay healthy. There was no, we can count up. No. I mean, you had to. And that's just one of the things about when you're an entrepreneur. Even when you do have health insurance, you still don't want to go to the doctor because your policy is so much higher than everyone else's. And, unless you're in one of those exchange, because I got a friend that's in this co-op exchange. They're out in Oregon. Oh God, it's sweet. $250 a month. Everything's covered. $20 copays. But there's like a community of 300 people in this exchange, and everyone just pays per month, and then they just pay the bills out of the money that comes in.
Mm-hmm. For everybody listening, there's a phenomenal book by Dr. Robert Young called The pH Miracle. It's amazing. A book called The Gerson Therapy, where they've actually reversed people with stage 4 cancer into being completely healthy through juicing organic raw vegetables every 4 hours. And to wrap this all up in an important point, the reason why I'm into all this stuff is because if you want to get a landscaping business off the ground or a small business, unless you got a lot of balls to just do it, without the experience, it's going to take a lot of struggle and a lot of to get to that story of triumph. It's not just one day, it's a story of triumph. I mean, it is hell to work a day job and then go out at night doing side jobs and make that transition while having a proper family life or a faith life or maintaining going to the gym to do all that stuff. You lose a lot of sleep. So like Anthony Robbins said, it takes a shitload of energy. And the only place you can get really good energy if you're not getting the sleep is to eat really healthy, drink a lot of water, get a lot of fresh air, and get nutrients in your body at high speed so you can perform at high speed and do what the average person can't do to get the plane off the ground. And if I didn't eat healthy, I don't know. I think I should.
No. It makes a big difference. I just put together 2 platforms, 2 schools, and I was working 18, 20 hours a day.
I believe it.
About 3 months, because there was so much that had to be done. And I knew that I had to do it because, this is just, the seasons are the same. I know once the kids go back to school, people start spending money. It's happened since, I've been noticing that since about 2002. It never fails. And this year they started spending money early. And I knew that kids in certain parts of the country were back at school because I had a weekend that was like, kids must be back in school because sales just went straight up. Then I did the check, and I knew that I had to get that together before that happened, because it's a season. You can miss that season, and if you start when the kids go back to school and you start that season right, it rocks on until May. And I was ahead of the curve. I was really, really pushing that because I wanted some things done, set up, and it goes back to your point about all of this energy, because you're 32, I'm 48. And I'm in the gym. Kids are coming up to me like, you pick 500 pounds like it's nothing. It's like, you don't understand. It's a training strategy. And that's like, you could do it too. It may take you 18 months to 24 months. But if you don't miss workouts, don't get hurt, and continue progression, you'll be blown at how much weight you can lift.
Yeah.
But it's consistency. It's total consistency. It's not, I just read this book, and it just kind of goes back to, and I blend in workout routines. I meditate. I blend in a lot of stuff into my training, because I read a book about powerlifting where the guy was squatting 45 times a week. It's like, how the hell can you do that? Because everyone says work out, then wait 48, 72 hours, let the muscle heal. I grew like a weed on that. It was just amazing. It's just about having the right information. But even with the right information, you still need energy. You need a lot of energy. So that's a really good point.
Have you read The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss?
I read the 4-Hour Work Week, because the name of that book was How to Live Like a Drug Dealer, but the publishing company wouldn't go for it. That's what they wanted to name it. I didn't do the 4-Hour Body, but I've heard things about it.
It's totally different than the 4-Hour Work Week, but still amazing, because I've got the 4-Hour Chef too, and that's pretty good. Huge Tim Ferriss fan. He just talks about making these astronomical gains in the gym and getting inside almost like the genome of your body, so to speak, to make it do things. It's a phenomenal book, and a lot of people probably argue it's pretty controversial, but I love reading. I'm a huge sponge. And these right here, these Bluetooths, people are still asking, what are those things around your neck? I'm like, dude, what do you think it is? It's a Bluetooth, and through like audible.com, the power of technology, you can learn anything that you want on the fly while working. Even I'll be at a family event. This is not right. But if not, everyone's talking about sports, I'm listening to like Stephen R. Covey talk about the 7 habits of highly effective people, because I don't know that stuff. I didn't grow up around that stuff. I grew up around a bunch of negativity. So I don't know any mentors, anybody to teach me about health and fitness. I didn't know anybody to teach me, anything about business or about, how. That was my big thing that frustrated me when I was that young guy cutting lawns, stuck in a dead end job, was where is the person that says this is how you live life?
Dude.
I was a young guy. I didn't even know how to write a check out or how to write an address to pay my bills. And I remember I was 18, I had my first apartment, and I was frustrated with tears in my eyes saying, how the fuck do I pay my bills? I don't even know how to write a check. And I had to actually have like a neighbor or something teach me how to write a check. I'm like, this is bullshit. And that's when I started seeing that everything is bullshit. Then 9/11 hit. Then I really saw that a lot of stuff is bullshit. And then your whole world comes crumbling down and you realize you've been living a lie and you got a choice. Am I going to like start taking the painful process through the eye of the needle of the truth? Or am I going to keep living a lie, along with everybody else that's living a lie? And you look at people that are 20 years farther down the road that have gone in the direction that maybe that you are in or would have been in, and you're like, that's not where I want to be. Then I started learning, why take advice from people who don't have the fruit on the tree, who don't at least have or aren't in the direction that you want to go in your life, because free advice is bullshit and it's everywhere. Then I started saying, well, I don't mind paying for coaching. I don't mind paying for programs or products or paying for an extended education beyond the bullshit one that I dropped out of high school because, but it's just, now we're sitting here now in the power of technology helping inspire.
I'm gonna show you. Let's see where the heck is it? Because I got two phones. One's supposed to be personal, but they both end up being business. And I typically listen to 2 books a month. I try to do both. I try to listen and read at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just something that you said. Okay, I got it. This girl, about 2-3 weeks ago, she commented on one of my videos, and she said, not verbatim, but the same thing that you just said. Like, where are the mentors? She was angry. She was literally angry because one of the things I started doing is when you look back at your life, I was really fortunate because I didn't grow up in a traditional 2-parent household, but I did grow up in a 2-parent household. And I had no clue to how important that was until I looked at how I got a brother and sister who didn't get what I got. My grandmother taught me how to read before I went to school, and she was in my life until I was 11. So, and then I left home at 18. So I was only there without the 2-parent structure, but I was already formed. I should say that. And a lot of things that I think that came from that background. Now, going back to what you just said and going back to what she was saying, I started doing stuff because it was a video I was saying, go out and do something in the world before you get married and have kids. We have a culture where people are trying to hub up or wife up and before they even know who the fuck they are. And I was saying, go, because I firmly think everyone should have a passport. And if I had my way, the minute the kid graduated high school, 2 years somewhere else in the world. You go to Israel, you'll go to Spain, you'll go to London. You just get the fuck out of here because I joined the military. And I remember I was in the Philippines. We were like going through there. And this kid was dragging this fucking box, right? I was like, and he was happy as shit. And I was like, get you a little fort. He said, no, this is a new house. I was like, damn. It just makes you really grateful because when you go around the world, most of the people are poor, not like our poor. Our poor have cable, PlayStation, maybe 1 or 2 cars. Poor in the rest of the world is you don't have food to eat. That's poor. I mean, 80% of the world's fucking poor. 80%. And I've seen this stuff. I was just like, where you got to go down to the village river to get food, water to drink, and dodge crocodile, snakes, and men who may rape you if you're a girl, or men who may rape you if you're a little boy. They're dodging this shit just to go get water. So whenever I would feel down, I was like, you weren't born there. You'll have no problems. And I would just immediately get real happy. So, I mean, a lot of things that you're saying is, and I got a friend with David, we talk about this a lot. Many people are spending maybe a decade of their life trying to become who they are versus building something because they didn't get that proper grounding during their childhood. Maybe a good decade maybe 10, 15 years just trying to figure shit out because no one said, hey, do this. I've got a daughter, helped her open up a checking account. We just sit around and talk about a lot of stuff. And it's just stunning how many people don't get that. It's a lot who don't get it. And I did, we're going back to Gary. I did my reaction of, because that latest video was about talking about college, going to college for business is bullshit, and I think the same thing. And I did my reaction, and people in the comments, it was like, hey, do another video about this, about college. So I'll probably do that probably tomorrow. But the whole point is, that's another reason I wanted to bring you on, because when I talk about stuff, I'm the evil ogre. It's like, you've done the storage auction business. You've been successful. You don't know shit. We're out here in the struggle, man. And I was like, I was in the struggle myself. It's been a while since I've been there, but that doesn't marginalize it. And I wanted to bring more people because you said some stuff. You just, if I heard you correctly, you dropped out of high school and now you have a successful business and you didn't go to college. And, from what I could tell from watching you, how your wife interact, you have this wonderful relationship. But, you got people out there who feel that if they don't check this box and do this, my life is horrible. And it's just simply not true.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't, every dog thinks his fleas bite the hardest, but in 2002, I slept in my car for 4 months straight. And it's an amazing experience, actually, because once you let go of
the anger, the bitterness, this. Yeah, I was in my car for about two months. And I got directed. Then I went to the fucking boarding house, and my roommates were crackheads and other degenerates of society. And since I shaved and shit, and I still had a job, they thought I was the police. So everywhere I was like, here comes the police. Here comes the police. Hello, Mr. Officer. What's your name? Mr. Carter. Hey, Mr. Carter. And they come up and like, hey, Hawaii 5-0. I mean, they used to think I was a cop. I mean, it was horrible living there. And then no one trusted me. It was just a strange environment from going from what I used to have to that bullshit. But that's one of the things that I think once you get past it, because I was very angry for a long time. I was real angry and pissed.
Same here.
And when you get past that, you look back and you realize you get something that most folks don't have to fall back, because most people, I'll give you an example. I had a legal situation recently. I developed a fucking 10-step plan, and I damn near had to go through all phases where one of my friends said I would have gave up on step 2 or 3. I was like, no, we're going to get this shit done. And it's just, you get used to working hard for simple shit that you don't realize it transfers into like a fucking secret superpower that other people don't have. Because when you meet someone that struggled and you have conversations like, yeah, you're in the club, show me your tattoo and shit. And then you meet other folks, fuck, the cable went out. I don't know what we're going to do. You're like, that's not a real problem. That's not a real problem. Real problem is not having food, not having water, not having shelter. And a lot of people are going through that stuff right now. So, when I meet people.
That's a whole deep subject. I think it imposes and it burns an engram inside of the mind and the psyche, to where now you have this really entrenched, deep fear motivation that keeps you running for your life.
Because I got this thing. I was like, I'm Jewish. Never again am I going through that shit. Never again. Is no. I will work 24 hours a day if I have to circumvent that bullshit. Because when you get, I call it being regurgitated out of the matrix. When you go through that shit, your self-esteem just plummets because you're no longer like everyone else. You're on the outside. And then I had one friend who came to visit me in that boarding house situation. One. Everyone else like, man, when you get back to who you were, we'll come hang out. It was that deep.
Yeah, judging you. Were they judging you?
Oh, judging, crazy stuff. You find out that people you didn't know who really had love for you, and people you thought were your friends just like have total contempt for you. I was like really shocked at the people who were there for me during that period. And it was strange. It was really strange. Now, what's funny is, here it is many years later, and we're past that. Then some of these people now want favors. They want me to hook them up. Hey, could you come over and give us a YouTube tutorial? Nope. and I've learned how to say no honestly. It's just if I'm not gonna say like nah I don't have no, I'm just like no, I'm not helping you. And if you ask me why, I'm like remember when, and I just to say you're cool. I'm never gonna hate on you, but you're not in the inner circle. You don't deserve to be in the inner circle because we all only have so much affection and energy, and you can't let your energy be what I call energy vampires. And those folks are energy vampires. They're only with you when shit's good. But the minute shit gets gone, they'll take your positive energy, then bounce off wherever they're gone, and you'll just be depleted. So it's a strange, strange circle. It's a strange circle. But
Yeah.
it's really funny. Like I watch your channel for the annex, like when you were running through the leaves and shit. And then the one about how your equipment, because I got a friend who has a landscaping company, and that's happened to him several times. Like people stealing equipment. It is just notorious because he had to replace. He's not had a mower stolen. He's heard of that, but he's like, the backpacks, the blowers, certain things that they just consistently get. And then he got smart and he started putting his trailer in a gated place, and that's really circumventing a lot of that stuff because he was doing really well. He was doing about 25 grand a month by himself. By himself. He was humping. But, when the fall hit, if he wasn't aerating, then, he was just kind of like, he had a lot of free time, depending upon his clients. But that whole business is so interesting because you're in Michigan, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. How far are you from Detroit?
Looking like, cause it's like right down the street. So
you're okay. I didn't know.
It would be like 6 miles, 7 mile, 8 mile. Well, we have different miles. If you ever seen that Eminem movie,
right.
Everybody watching 8 Mile, that's real. Everything in that movie is 100% real. And each mile is called a mile on all the streets that run in parallel. So I'm at what would be 19 miles. So I'm 9 miles away from, 11 miles away from Detroit. And it's a completely different environment. Every 5 miles that you go outside of the inner city, completely different.
You know another place like that? St. Louis. St. Louis is like that. You're driving a few blocks and you're in a completely different city. You're like, wait a minute. You see, and the little signs are like on the ground. And it's just funny. I have a Uncle Martin and some cousins that live in Detroit. And they recently lost their mother and wife. It's just really interesting how that city has changed. In the 1950s, Detroit was the second largest economy in the world behind the United States.
And it was beautiful. I heard
a lot of money. Because my Uncle Martin, he's like, because he came from Alabama, he went up there and it's like, you go to Detroit, with 2 months, making good money, got your own house, you can start a family. It was just like, they used to call it a miracle. You could just literally go to Detroit and become something just like that. And it's just sad. How things, a lot of stuff's happened. Same thing. I'm from Alabama, Adamsville, which is about 15 miles from Birmingham. Similar things happen because we used to have this big steel industry because all the natural resources there, iron ore and the steel and the coal and all this other stuff. I saw people graduate high school. 2 years later, they had a house, a wife, and 2 kids. That shit wasn't for me. And people were like, oh, you're all uppity. I was like, I'm getting out of here because I'm getting out of here because a lot of men in my neighborhood worked in the coal mine. They were good, hardworking men, and a lot of them died from black lung disease. Yep. I remember growing up and watching the news and this coal mine is caved in and 10 miners are trapped, 30 miners are trapped. 4 miners. I said, I'm not going down there. Call me a punk if you want to, no problem. I'm not going down there. And that's when I started setting my sights on getting out of Alabama because your family pathology, because that's something you just talked about a little while ago. You are circumventing. You know what you're doing. You're starting a new family tree with you and your wife, and whenever y'all have kids, you're starting a new family tree. No, you've already started it because you're going counter to your upbringing, and that brings a whole bunch of bullshit from the family members who like, we like being dysfunctional. Who are you to change?
Funny, huh?
Oh man, I got more stories that I want to talk. Oh, all right. Here's a quick one. I'm a criminal. There's certain members on one side of the family. It's like he don't have no real job. Ain't on the internet sitting there talk. There ain't no real job for no man. He must be a criminal selling that wacky weed. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
What's funny is our technology has evolved way far past the paradigm of the people. Don't
True.
even see like how far advanced and where we really are. Most people are back in 2000 and they're thinking. They still are in Y2K. And there's only a small percentage of the people that are at the front of the ship, like or up on the mast, that can see it so clearly that it's wow. It's incredible. It's goosebump worthy that how amazing what's happening is.
CK, everything's amazing. Everyone's pissed off. It's true.
So to even see everything you say, especially when you have a big audience, can be scrutinized and broken up and taken.
No. Don't even worry about it because see, all right, this is how I built my channel, and this is going back to the cussing. I have been pretty blunt with people. Like, okay, in the beginning, I've calmed down. In the beginning, the reason you're not fucking successful is you're fucking lazy. You feel entitled, and you want someone to hold your dick when you go to the bathroom because you don't want to do your own work. That's how this channel started. This is called way down.
That was me too. That's crazy. Say that. I was standing in my bathroom and in my kitchen screaming into the camera, basically talking about, you got to work 100 hours a week. You got to be crazy. And all these people for some reason like that.
Well, you know why? Because people are starving for authenticity. So many things are contrived and you don't know. Because when I meet people, now this is another thing. It still gets weird when I meet people in public. They're like, you're just like you are on your YouTube channel. Like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was the plan. So, yeah, speak your mind. The things that have been said on this channel. I mean, YouTube's become really more intolerant of certain things. I never said, I was never demeaning to gay people, homosexual people, but I've said things that were kind of borderline. Because my audience is like 80% male, and that's something else. You got to know your demographics, because once you know your demographics, you know what you can do and what you shouldn't do. Like if my audience was 80% female, this shit would have been over a long time ago. It would have just crashed.
Yeah, absolutely. My channel is 96% male and 4% female, and it's all about what are you talking? Are you talking in masculine context or feminine context? How are you communicating? And some of my favorite coaches, like a Brennan Burchard or a Frank Kern, more like Brennan Burchard, they found out how to communicate in a way that's bringing in a huge dynamic diversity of audience to communicate and create value for all different types of people. And I think that's like the highest level of authenticity. You know what I'm saying? But
it's funny because when I started, my numbers were just like yours, like 96 and 5, and every year the female, it just goes up because like I said, it's 80-20, it depending upon the month. Sometimes it's 76-24, so more and more coming. And the thing is, this channel is for men because of the bullshit that I went through, because you were homeless, so there's no fucking social programs for men. A girl can like fall down and I can't get a job. Okay, you can stay with me. And you're like, man, I just lost you better do something, man. You better man the fuck up. There is nothing. It's just like, go out and die, dude. We don't care.
Yeah.
So knowing that's why this channel is for me. And I've had a lot of women that's like, hey, could you talk about this for ladies? So say, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you being a viewer, but this channel's for men. And we're going to deal with men topics. And they're like, okay, fair enough. And that's usually the end of it, because there's so many female channels and channels for women. I don't even need to contribute to that conversation. That's in my mind. I think that looking what I went through and what you went through and some other people, a lot of men don't have the information that they need to make better choices because of the mythology of being a good male is work hard, pay all the bills, and shut the fuck up. That's going to put you in the early grave, because all of that stress is just waiting for one day to erupt on you. And I was like, hey, it's okay to say, I'm being treated unfair. It's okay to say this shit's not working for me, and it's okay to say that. And a lot of dudes are just feel locked into. I got one of my consulting clients. His father is such a Calvinistic, dyed in the wool conservative, and there's all of this stuff, and he's like, when I talk to him about what we talk about, it's like he's going to have a heart attack. I said, look, don't tell him. Just do what you're doing. And once you get some results, he'll come around. And his father wanted him to jump into the family business, but he absolutely hated it. He didn't like it. And, it's some fucked up shit that I won't go into. And he went out and started his own thing. And his father felt pissed off. It's like, I built this for you and you're just going to shit on it. And then when he built his business where he started making more money than his dad came around at that point. But before then, I got another client. They was calling him the Miami Shyster. Family dynamics are a motherfucker, man. They are a motherfucker. And all these people are doing is just they want to build their businesses. They're not doing anything unethical. They're not doing anything criminal or crazy. But when you break that family dynamic, oh my God, it's like you killed a cat or something on Sunday morning in the middle of church. It's just bad for them. It's really, really bad. Bad. But you get what you get what your message says. And I know what it's like to do everything for everyone and have everyone leave you. I know what that feels like. And a lot of dudes don't see that shit coming.
That's a huge subject there. Like when you start to become successful or your time is more valuable, all of a sudden now you have to pull away from the people that you love or the friends you spent a lot of time with. And now you're getting guilt tripped. They're trying to pull you into what used to be something to just take up space and time is now become like you become their enemy. And the stuff that they want you to participate in becomes your enemy because it's the enmity of success. It's when you grow in your practice and you find your purpose, nothing else matters at that moment. Like if you show up to a party or an event, you're having fun. But after even 20 minutes, you got to get the fuck out of there and you got to get back to your purpose. Well, everybody else is going to stay all night getting drunk or doing whatever they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. And see, this is something that's funny. Those same people who they will take a higher level of energy to fuck with you than use an energy to improve their lives because of the hostility jealousy creates. I mean, the things that have happened on this channel is just, I've had people stalk me. I've had people make fake channels. At one point, there was people creating versions of my name to fuck with people who left positive comments. And one person, I figured out who it was, and it just kind of blew my mind. But the thing is, people don't understand that anything that they see, they can have if they believe they can have it. But if you shit on what you think, what someone has, you'll never have that because you're just pushing that shit away.
Hey, can I meerkat this right now?
Go right ahead.
Okay, cool. I was on a Grant Cardone webinar last night, and I noticed he had multiple mobile devices.
I've done that before. I've done Periscope.
Right now. Let me flip it around.
I've done Periscope. I've done other stuff. And the live streaming is big because all the platforms treat that totally different.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you a little quick deal, if you want to do it. A Hangout gets a certain alert, but when you do a live stream event, it sends a notification to everybody on your subscriber list.
Wow.
Yes. That's, recently, if you notice in your dashboard, they put that little, and I was like, oh, okay. Pretty much I used to do these things called AM Hustle. I'm just going to make them all live because when you do live event, it pushes it out to everybody. But there's this little hiccup because after it's over, it processes and then it's kind of like closed and it takes the thumbnail off. It's just really strange. So you have to go back in there and put that stuff on there. But live streaming is where it is definitely. So, Meerkat, Periscope, we do all that. My next book I'm doing on Periscope. It's just I'm cleaning up a lot of stuff because I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone, 10X. I mean, I've been living 10X and 20X for the last 3 months. And it works because you see your progress much faster, because my failure rate's like 75%. 75% of the shit it just fails. So my success rate is 25%. So if I do 100 things, that's 25 things that work. Well, if I want 100 things to work, I got to do 400 things. That's what I've been doing. I mean, it's just the metric hasn't changed, but my action and activity has changed.
Now, is that in everything? Is that like a rule, or is that just in business?
Just for stuff that I'm testing, there's some things like I've become really good at. I mean, you know, I don't really my failure rates maybe 10% on some things, but I'll give you an example. When I said I take chances, channels about business, but what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs that we all see? Dude goes out, builds a business, gets married, gets divorced, loses half his money. So I've got this course called Disruptive Mating, which is my process. And dudes love it because I don't do traditional dating anymore. I stopped that maybe 10 years ago. It's really different because I look at who they are from the jump. I don't assume, I don't hope. If I see a little dude waving a red flag, write in my journal. I don't go like, no, that's not a red flag because she's got a big ass. No, that's a red flag. The dude is like, hey, I'm trying to tell you, there's some shit here. So I put it together, and it's just my process that has only failed me once in the last 10 years. Once. And that was more me than the process because I wasn't doing the process, and that's why it went sideways. But typically, I mean, that's like my current girl. That's how I got her in the fold. And the thing is, you know how they feel about you. It's not none of this. I wonder. No, you know exactly where they are. But that also takes a level of introspection on. First of all, you got to figure out what the hell you want. Most dudes don't have what they want because they don't know. It's like, well, as long as she's pretty, that's good enough, and that's really should be basement shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
That should be basement shit. That should be our first five. How she handles money is in the top five because if you for fun and games and just hanging out, it doesn't really matter. But if you marry that person and they got bad money habits, woo, that could sink your life. It could literally sink your life.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to listen and improve what you do during the dating phase, there's a chance. I mean, there was this one girl I was dating. She's an attorney. Then one day she let it slip that she had $185,000 worth of debt. Man, Viagra couldn't get me hard after that. No. Became friends. We just became friends because I was like, whoa, that's what she's saying. You know, it's deeper. And then she would like text me like, oh yeah, I was at Neiman Marcus and they had these Jimmy shoes. They were normally 1,800 and they were like 9, and you can only go. And I was like,
Because you saw yourself running on like a rat on a wheel for the next.
I saw myself with a gun to my head. It's like, this is, I mean, she told me who she was. And if I was to go any further, that would have been on me. She was telling me, she's like, this is who I am. I like to make a lot of money. I like to spend more than I make. This is who I am. I mean, if I went forward, it would have been on me because she was just like,
it's a lot easier to create a healthy intimacy than it is to fix a broken one.
Yes, it is.
So,
like hiring employees. Whenever I wanted to hire someone for customers, like I got an assistant, Amy. She's super nice, super sweet. You can't train that shit. It's better to find someone really, really nice, really, really naturally happy, then train them to do what you want because you can get that crudge muffin that they can do the job, but they just piss everybody off. And I've gotten a lot of positive comments about her because I also protect her because I know how the internet and stuff is. So, you know, because she reached out to you after I reached out because our rule is, you know, when people call, just text them back. Do not get in phone conversations. Just text them back. It's real short and they get to the point, and you know she can do her job. But oh yeah, you're 100% correct about that. You're 100% correct about that. I learned that the hard way.
it's really fascinating to me in the culture that we live in. A lot of relationships and everything we're talking about ties back into being a business owner because your business is your life. It's happening real time. And people that say to separate it, I don't really understand that.
You can't
psychologically separate that.
You can't.
A lot of relationships they start in a state of codependency and immaturity, and then as they grow and evolve over time, they start hitting these different levels where they need to move on and upward and evolve into fairness and functionality. They need to become functional, or otherwise one person is going to start evolving faster than the other, and there's going to be a pulling or an unattraction will start to happen. Whereas the person that you were fatally attracted to in the beginning can become unattractive, or vice versa. They could become unattracted to you. So you're both evolving. And I like what one of my mentors, Eben Pagan, said. He said, I found the purpose of my life. And to go back a little more, David Data said, lock yourself in a room with a notepad and a pen and do not come out until you know your purpose. Right? So, but if anybody, now Eben Pagan says, if anybody holds back your evolution, it doesn't matter who it is, they have to go, because your purpose is to evolve upward and onward towards the light, if you even want to talk spiritually. So if there's a person holding back your evolution because of their own fears and insecurities, or
they gotta go. They gotta
trying to grow a business.
They gotta go.
Yeah, they gotta go. And now it's your part, as if we're talking a man, in your masculine consciousness as a man, to really draw the line in the sand and say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of going along to get along. This is my fucking dream, and I'm going to make this happen for us. And then you do it anyways, because you're leading a person to a place that they can't lead themselves. But once you get to that promised land, they go, oh, it's great here. You know what I'm saying? So that's the law of the leader. And I struggled. The only reason I know about this stuff is because that was my biggest struggle. So there I was, a guy running around with my head up my ass only 5 short years ago. And I have slept in my car. I come from a really dysfunctional family, and I had nothing, stuck in a dead end job. And then I meet this phenomenal woman who, I believe she's one of the greatest, my greatest motivators and people of the reason that I'm successful at all. It is somebody who is, a real woman in my life. And it took a lot of growing up and a lot of facing my own fears to be able to really get out there and say, hey, it's okay to beat on your chest. It's okay to be a man and claim authority and dominion, of your place, of your environment, and go out and do something. Go out and do it and stop being afraid, because the fear would just hold you back, and you'll end up like everybody else. And then you'll be the one sitting around, going to the after party or whatever, just wasting your life away. Fuck that.
Oh, definitely. In my course, Disruptive Mating, that's the first part. Because see, this is the thing. And I had to learn this the hard way. It's not the women. It's you and your lack of a decision. Once you make a decision, what kind of woman? If you want a redhead, big-breasted woman that cooks biscuits on Tuesday, write that shit down. And when you come across her, marry her, because you have people who are dating other folks they're dating for the approval of other people. That's what they're dating. They're not dating who they want to date. They're dating someone that looks good on paper, and they're miserable. It's just really funny, because when I sat down and I just wrote down exactly what I wanted, the shit started showing up. It was just like, bam, Publix, bam. I'm in Home Depot running. I'm just sitting there like, oh, I gotta do. And I actually turned that into a course called Scripted Days. You gotta really figure that out. Once you figure that out, the universe will give you everything you want. Like my first book, I mean, I'll tell you, it's a fucking disaster in terms of editorial and typo. It was a fucking disaster. Now, I've wanted to be a writer for 3 years. This is my purpose. This is what I do, communicating with people. It was like writing, then it kind of moved to video, and they all have one thing in common. I communicate with people. So that's the whole purpose. And the book, I got friends who are writers. Used to go to writer conferences and hang out, and I knew people, and when they got their book deals, I was happy for them. I was like, one day that'll be me, one day that'll be me. And then I got my business education before I got my book education. So due to the fact that I had a business education, I took a product that was cosmetically flawed. The information that was solid, because I was putting stuff in there like, what kind of truck should you use? What kind of trailer should you get? What to do in this situation? Because I did it. So I did 62 grand in 11 months. Now I have friends who can write way better than me, can make words weep on the page, right? I got 2 that filed bankruptcy. They know how to write, but they don't know how to build a business. And if you know how to build a business, you could take an okay product, and people get mad when I say this. If you got a business skills and okay product, you're going to do better than someone with no business skills and a spectacular product.
Mm-hmm.
you're going to do way better than they are, because I was watching this girl, Suzanne Evans, and she was, she had this, it was a podcast, and she was saying, you got this and you got this, but see, your website sucks and this sucks and this sucks. Now, this is the thing. You could be a better consultant, but she's positioned better than you are. And I sat there and I realized that's what I did the first book. I positioned myself. And then when the shows and shit came on, man, I would wake up and I was like, what the fuck happened last night? It was just like
live, Glenn and Cameron.
It was funny.
Yeah, positioning is huge. It's like if you look at, and I got this from Frank Kern, who's a huge marketer. He's saying that if you have a great car, it's expensive to a BMW, right? It's expensive, good car. Just wrap it up. And then you got a Rolls Royce. Well, BMW owns Rolls Royce, and a Rolls Royce is nothing more than a really flashy BMW. It's the same chassis, same frame.
I saw that video. Because he had got the car for his wife, and he was, I think, in his California home. Yeah, I saw that.
So a BMW costs like 80 grand, but Rolls Royce costs 330 grand. And what is the difference? It's the positioning. It's because it's a Rolls Royce. It's because, and why do people spend 330 grand on a Rolls Royce? Because they get to be cool. They get to be important and significant and drive around town, and they get to be somebody. So positioning, and the point of that is that company has positioned themselves to where you don't have to, they don't have pushy salespeople trying to sell you something.
Right.
If you position yourself in your business to a point where you already look like a credible company who's going to get the job done great, and you have all this referral going on, then they're going to automatically buy from you at the price that you want, instead of you groveling and scratching, just trying to, and they're talking you down, and you're going through that whole suffering cycle. You know what I'm talking about that.
Oh, I was a direct salesman. I know very much about the suffering. Go in with hat in hand and please buy my office furniture. Oh yeah. The positioning is huge. And this is one of the things, like, hands down, this YouTube channel is the best thing ever. One of the best. It's in the top 10 things I've ever done in my life. Top 10. Easily. Yeah. Because it gives you a position. And this is something else that surprised me, because I've got clients. I got one person who she said she left. I'm gonna say she suspended because she paid me in advance. But she's literally terrified to come on YouTube. A lot of people do not want to get on the camera.
Yep.
I mean, I was just like, now I understand. Now, my first videos, I look like a scared little bitch because, hi, this is, I mean, it felt strange as fuck. You're sitting there talking to the camera. It's just you. And you're like, okay, what was that? And that went on for me for months. And I was like, You know what? It's getting results. So I'm just going to keep doing it. And now it's nothing. And something else, then I'm going to do a video from another channel. I've done maybe 12 public speaking events now. And the shit was so easy. But no, I mean, it came from YouTube, because you sit here and you make 2, 3, 4. I've got collectively 1,500 videos between 2 to 3 channels now.
Wow. How long you been doing it now?
2009. Oh, but see, in the beginning, I was making 2 and 3 videos a day. I was just like, just throwing them up because I didn't know what was working. I was like, well, I'll try this. And then when I started doing the storage auction stories, that's when it resonated. But you sit here and talk and bullshit, and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to say this. And it just, people resonate with it, because the first time someone asked me about writing a book as self-published author, because I have opinions about this, and I went and I told them, and they had listened, and they was just rapt attention. I was just like shocked.
What's the name of your book again?
The oldest one is Self-Storage Unit Auctions A to Z.
Yeah.
That's on Amazon. Now, this is something else. I don't sell any of my newer stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
I've got my own platform. I mean, I've got this thing about control, because
40 people.
You go with let's go with conversions. All right, say on Amazon, you got a book for $2.99, right? Maybe $4.99.
Yep.
If you want to make 10 grand, you've got to sell a shitload of books.
Yep.
Now, if you've got a book in a course for say 25 to 40, you sell 1,000 in a year. That's 35, 40 G's. It's easier. It's saner. It's more fun, because I was doing when I was on Amazon Heavy, I was doing stuff to please Amazon, which was detrimental to me. And because the thing is, like this YouTube channel, the one you got, you can direct so much traffic wherever you want the fuck to go. It's ridiculous. And the thing is, everybody can't do YouTube. I've seen, people who kill a blog, kill a Facebook page. They come to YouTube, nothing. You see them, it's like, hey, how you doing? It's this well-produced video. They got cameraman, 8 views. I see that all the time. And it's just like,
really about
you don't understand it.
Engagement and authenticity and just telling the truth and being who you really are. And one thing that was hard for me to do was going out and actually admitting my mistakes. Or if I was having anxiety that day shooting a video, just talk about my blunders and all the way down to things that you really shouldn't say at all. And I just start saying it, and then I'm getting these responses from people. Like, I do that too.
One of my writing mentors said, the shit that you're afraid to write is the shit that will make you money. Not wrong. She said, the shit you're afraid to. I mean, seriously, like being homeless, I started getting comfortable with that, talking about that about 2008. And it was like 90s, the bullshit years from 97, 98, 99. It took me damn near a decade to get even comfortable because I was just wouldn't bring it up. It was just like you got all that shame. Then one day, fuck it, you let it out. But
shame is at like the lowest level of in the vibrations of consciousness. It's like right before death. Shame is horrible. And you think of the things in your life that you're ashamed of, that you have done or been a part of, and it takes you to such a low level. Now you can't access higher states of consciousness to go out and fucking do anything because you're stuck in this trap. But about being homeless, I remember sleeping in my car, sleeping in the gym, getting caught showering in the gym, having all my clothes, having all my clothes piled up in the back seat, and cops stopping me. And when you finally let go of the shame, and it's just you and the stars. You ever look up at the stars, and it's an amazing experience. Being at rock bottom is a beautiful place to be because you learn a lot about yourself down there. You know what I mean? But there's also a part of me that's still back there that is
it never leaves you. I mean, it never leaves you because that's a life-defining moment. Because when you are so-called, because when you're out there, you realize that the reason most people are homeless is drug dependency or some type of psychological breakdown. So if you don't have neither one of those, you're like, I must really be fucked up to be here with these people. I mean, you're just sitting there. I sit in my room and like, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Yeah. And one day I just realized this is when I started developing what I call the hustler mindset. Back then I used to call it Scheme Incorporated because I wasn't involved enough to recognize that I was building my own philosophy. That's what I did. I've got this saying, don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the fucking rules so you can win. And I didn't know that I was playing this game and I didn't know the rules. And see, that's why I ended up in that situation because now, it's like when it happened, I was like, oh, woe is me. Oh, shit, I'm homeless. I'm living in this boarding house with crackheads, riding the bus. Then I realized the decisions that I made 7 years prior to that moment was the reason I ended up there. And the reason was I was helping people. I was helping people to the point where I was depleted. I was giving so much that I could not stack anything of my own. And that's why people don't know how to read me because I can be extraordinarily generous and I can be extremely selfish because being selfish allows me to be generous in the future. Because if you're just super generous all the time, you can't do shit for people anymore because at some point your battery's going to be tapped out. And then you can become that old man, get off my lawn, all miserable and shit because you gave everything.
That's so true. Guys, listen to that. Being selfish in order to become selfless, you first have to be selfish. And that comes down to, hey, everybody invites you to an event or everybody wants you to come do this thing or somebody in your family. Maybe there's the 5th birthday party this month. Well, even if it's on a Sunday, like it's Sunday right now, this is live. I mean, you have to do things that are going to further your dream and you got to hold that thing tight. And oh man, I just ended a stream of like 45 people.
You'll keep building. But I learned that lesson because like now with my new platform, like today on my personal page, there was some stuff going down and the girl was like mentally ready. So I gave her a scholarship. Whereas if I was just always being generous, doing this. I wouldn't have been in a position to give anyone shit. It's like these people who are like these community organizers or these folks who want to rebuild the neighborhood. I think their pursuit is honorable, but their method of the pursuit is fucked up because you have no money, and everything that goes on in this world requires money. And when you get money, then you can be super generous and you can affect and facilitate change. But when you have no money, you don't know how to get any money.
So true, man.
You're just sitting there like frustrated. It's like, we need to do something. Because I've told one of my friends, it's like, you need to get your money together. No, you don't have to become rich, but you're not self-sufficient. It's like you get paid and you're broke immediately. You're not self-sufficient. You got to straighten it out because you're going to be on this cycle of poverty before you know it. Because right now you're young, you look good, but when you're 65, you're not going to be able to work like that. You got to start building some shit that's going to carry you now. You have no kids. You've never been married. You're going to be that dude in the hole with the popsicle on this shirt because the nurse said, fuck you.
Like, one huge thing I began to realize as the years went by, when you finally get to a place of safety and security and you have money in the bank and things like that, all your bills are paid. Now you can get out of that death survival mode and start to actually look back and recapitulate in your past and say, what really happened there?
Mm-hmm.
How can I say I take responsibility? And I realized that
right there was the key. Once you take responsibility and leave victim bitch land, you can become powerful. You can become your own superhero. But as long as someone else did this to me, like I said, I went back and I figured out where I went wrong. Because I was like, what the fuck? How the hell did this happen? I don't drink. I don't have a drug dependency problem. I don't stay out. What the fuck? And it was a big decision I made that I shouldn't have made, but I made it and I had to deal with it. And that's one of the things that keeps a lot of people of promise in the family back, because the family sees that they got it going on and everyone's just holding on. We're going to let you go so far, Sonny. But when you get too far out the compound, we're going to pull your ass back in with some bullshit. I see that. I mean, especially with young children who are really promising and they got dysfunctional parents. If they don't leave those parents, they may never have the life they could have. I know it sounds really harsh and cruel, but
wow, that's amazing that you said that.
I mean, it's the reality. I mean, and that's one of the things, because there's all kinds of stuff coming, but like with tribes, if you're a tribe of firemen, you might have the aptitude to be a brilliant surgeon. But since the tribe says we go to the fire station 38, we're all Irish firemen. It was great grandpa, your dad, now fucking you. What? You're not going to the academy? Who the fuck are you? It was a fireman's salary that you get guilted into going to the academy, and you don't want to do that shit. And there's a lot of people living that life. A lot of people. And see, I used to question like the pastor in church, like, why this?
That was me. Yeah.
And then he said, because I got into it about creation and evolution. I said, well, there was dinosaurs. Son, there was no dinosaurs. God built this. There was no dinosaurs. That's like, why are there bones? Don't you challenge God, boy. And he walked off, right? Because when you ask those different questions, they dip on your ass. And I've always just been really, really curious about that. And I believe in God, but I think that man has prostituted religion so much that it's really hard for a lot of people to see where they fit in, and it creates this huge disconnect, because you got people who feel like meditation. I'm a big believer in meditation.
Yes.
And bring that to people, and they're like, well, I can't do that because I'm Christian. No, it has nothing to do with it. But they're brainwashed that if they do anything that's a little different, that God's going to come down and stab them in the eye. It's a struggle, man, trying to bring people out of their own prisons. They don't want to leave. The door is wide open, but they don't want to leave. They refuse. Definitely refuse. But, this is one of the reasons I want to have these conversations, because the thing is, everyone looks at the accoutrements of success. They don't realize the bullshit that happened, like the years and years of struggle, the craziness, the madness that happens. And what I wanted to do was just put together like shows for bringing on entrepreneurs, people that I've watched, because I've had folks referred to me, and then I go check them out, and some of these internet guys, I'm not going to say anything. You cannot find shit out about them on Google before they come out in maybe a year. In that year, but after that year, you can find nothing. There's no LinkedIn. There's like nothing. But they had like this multi-million-dollar business, and they never tell you what the business is. It's just like, at one point, I was like, do I call myself an internet marketer? That could be really bad. And I was like, okay, I'm an internet marketer. This is what I do, and I just owned it and just went as hard as I could. But it's a crazy environment. I think this thing is just getting started, really.
There's even, because the paradigm keeps growing and growing and growing and like perplexing on itself, and it's kind of like internet marketing, and now it's like, okay, I'm an online landscape business coach who happens, it's not, I'm doing internet marketing, right? But I'm really a landscape coach who's using the power of the internet because technology is allowing it all to happen. So you can touch people in masses because of that. But the whole prospect of internet marketing in itself is amazing, because that's what they call kind of like the field that we're all in, because through that catchphrase, you can touch in and tap into all these people and gain and share all this knowledge on a different paradigm that's above that. It's like being up in the stands watching the game happen with a group of people that are seeing it from a different angle versus the viewers and the audience who are watching it from their paradigm. It's like you can see what's going on behind the
because you're part of it. You're part of the scene, and that's something else. And you're at that point where you're going to see your channel start to scale exponentially. It's weird because it took me 5 years to get to 20,000 subscribers. And the first 7 months of this year, I've got 10,000 new subscribers in 7 months. And I started evaluating other channels and listening to other people. And it seems at some point that once that starts, and the thing is, you start at that point, it's crazy. You got to push harder, because when that starts, the harder you push, the bigger the benefits. Because once you get past 100,000, you get the gold play button and stuff. And I really never thought that would happen. I was like, I'm going to make my channel and I'm just this. But like you said, it keeps evolving. It keeps evolving, where at one point I was like, that's not going to happen. Now it's like, possibly if I can get.
I was talking, to Greg Chisholm, Geek to Freak, about that too. And he's like, whoa, I actually believe I can get that plaque now. He's like, because at first when you only got 8,000 subscribers, which is still a lot, then you start hitting 20, 30,000, you can see it. It's walk a mile, see a mile, to, be in touch and in contact with that many people. So,
it's really interesting, because something else too, like I'm one of the quote old guys, because I was this guy I love to listen to. His name's Engineer Truth. And, they were doing this interview and it's like, those folks are like 35, the old guys, right? Because he's 26. I'm just cracking up, right? I have found out that has helped me so much, because it kind of goes back to people are hungry for information. They're really hungry for information, and they're hungry for authentic experiences, because when you go like this YouTube journey, this is a story into itself. Yeah. I was never going to leave, but there was moments that I was just like, maybe I'll just put up like a static videos, because it got so crazy at one point. And then I learned that each time that all this bullshit starts to happen, the minute I push through, there's always this big elevation. Every time it's just like, all of a sudden it's like, when shit starts going wrong, I start getting happy now. It's like, we're about to move up, because you just disrupting energy. And I had one of those moments this year. It was an old foe who was coming back, and he's just got himself in such a horrible position. Because one thing I can say is, if you just keep making videos and keep trying to make yourself better and better and better, you just get more people who see that. Because I was childish. I would engage in the flame wars and the talk back videos and calling people out and stuff. Like, the first 2009, 2012 was interesting years. It was some interesting shit. I was like, how dare you? I put up one video. I didn't delete it, because I just went ahead and made it private. But it's like, oh, really? You think you're going to do that shit to me? It was like WW YouTube SmackDown, right? And we're just going back and forth. I was like, this is stupid. This is really stupid. And I just stopped, because I was I was paying attention to folks who were fucking with me and ignoring the people who were supporting me. And I had that realization. I was like, okay, you can't keep doing this. You're just going to implode. You're just going to.
Funny. Once you pass 5,000 subscribers, and you start becoming friends with other YouTubers, and you start talking on the phone about, and you start learning there's an entire behind the scenes political part of it, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's different groups of people with different agendas, and there's like literally the YouTube police, and there's people that inform you and update you, and you know what's going on behind the scenes amongst all types of stuff, and you have to stay in that loop and stay in the know of what's going on, so you can kind of just, let's just say, be aware of it.
And because they got rid of, I think, Mark Dice's channel. I saw that coming because they had shifted. You can still say what you want, but if your channel becomes like predicated on hate, or it has an overwhelming hate theme, it's going to be easy to get knocked down if people challenge you, because they're trying to really get away from that. And that's one of the reasons that when you sign for a Gmail account, they wanted you to use your real name, because it's been scientifically shown that most people will not act a fool when they have to use their real name on the internet. They just won't. When they use, WH67, slap your mama silly. Oh yeah, they'll say anything. But when they use their real name and it could be tracked and traced, some people just won't care. They'll still say stuff. But what you said about the political side, and there's what I call like raiders that will like do bot attacks on your channel. They typically mess with gaming channels or high controversial channels. I mean, if you haven't done it, you got two-step verification on your channel.
What's that?
Oh yeah, do this tonight. Go into your Gmail account and enable two-step verification. What it is anytime someone logs into a farm to try to log into your account from a farm advisor, it's going to send a code to your text to your phone.
I got that. Yep.
Yeah.
It's code to my phone, and I have to punch it in so no one can hack my account.
You gotta have that on everything now, because
anybody character passwords.
Yeah, anybody that's doing anything, you're going to be attacked. It's not a matter of if, because they're going after people on Facebook, like those things when it's like, hey, what street did you grow on? Those are hackers creating bait farm for you, because what they'll do is they got these algorithms, and they'll take all that information. They'll be able to crack your password because they got what street you grew on, what's your father's maiden. They got all that stuff, and people just willingly give it to them. That's why I've never messed with those. Like, I'm not giving you that. Why do you need to know what? All kinds of stuff. But that's just some of the stuff, because when people look at YouTubers and they're like, oh yeah, you got a good life, you get that AdSense money, they have no idea what goes on, which is one of the reasons that only recently have I started to partner with people and talk to people, because you never know who's who just upon a casual situation. Like, you had your channel for a while and you've been really consistent, and the shit you do to your wife cracks me up. But I gotta, before I bring someone on here, I've got to know that they're serious about it. And a lot of people will not do a YouTube channel. I mean, what do you have, like 400 videos?
447 or something.
All right, that's a commitment.
That's only on one channel. I probably have 1,000 videos amongst my other channels, but this is my main channel. It's just a time issue. If I could, I would have 5 different channels, because I have so much I want to say on so many different subjects and things that I believe I can add a lot of value, create conversations in. But there's only so many hours in a day.
I know. I mean, I just really got another channel. I got a media channel, and then there's going to be the smack talking channel. I'm just going to do it purely for fun. I got my Tumblr page, because now it's like you said, it's a little different, because when you get past that building phase, and I'll be straight up. When I started, I didn't know what the fuck to expect. I had no clue. It's like YouTube, well, no one's doing it. So typically when no one's doing it, it's a good thing to do, because you'll be first. And my niche that I used to have, I no longer have it. I own that niche for 2.5 years. That is, I've come to find that's some rare shit for someone to own the niche for any length of time, let alone 2. I just was so far ahead of everyone else that I was making money and doing stuff. And by the time they're like, oh, there's money in this, it was over.
Yep.
It was over, and I was like, oh, it's kind of funny. And then the new thing is just talking to entrepreneurs, because I have different categories of conversations, because what I'm learning is that people like to just hear the chat between two people who are trying to, you don't even have to be like a billionaire, a millionaire. You just have to be someone that's got to the point where your business makes enough money to support you. That's a huge win for a lot of people. Because people have 2, 3, 4 jobs, and they're not able to support themselves.
That's the thing. Some of the haters will come on my channel and they'll be like, just say all types of stuff. You're a rinky-dink nobody. Your trucks are crappy and it's falling apart and you're a nobody. Who do you think you are? And I'm like, what I'm saying is the millionaire won't take the time to speak and calibrate to that level. So I believe that it's what's the word? Help another reach up one another. It's like a three-legged race, so to speak. Okay. Everybody above, we are our brother's keeper, and it's our responsibility to help people that are, that are almost where we're at or are even farther down the socioeconomic strata who want a hand up. Because do you really think that somebody who has real estate all over the place and they own 5 companies and have a bunch of residual income and they got so many balls up in the air juggling that are making them, 3-4 million a year, whatever the number is, are they going to spend the time to make a YouTube channel to give away all this free information unless they have a serious back end sales funnel agenda? Are they going to do it from the bottom of their heart? Are they going to put the authenticity and build all the time and energy? It takes. That was my biggest. That's why I made my channel, and that's my biggest argument. Is because when I was that guy, flat broke at the bottom, stuck in a dead end job, I was an entrepreneur in my mind, but I didn't have access to the tools to figure out
the right information. I mean, it's all about the right information.
And there was all these rich assholes with their books and their programs that were speaking to some people who were already making 100,000 plus a year because
let me tell you
buy into the consultation.
No, right? Let me tell you about that. A lot of folks, they aren't really, they're not frauds, but they're not as good as you would think they are. All right, I used to have several different businesses. I had 5 that fucking failed, flat out failed, lost money, was humiliated and stuff. And then we're entering 12. We're in the 12th business, and this kind of like the concurrent. When you've had that many businesses, you can talk to someone who's in business and just see if they're real or not. And I don't, a lot of the shit I see online isn't real because this is something all businesses have in common. You got a customer, you got a service, you got a product. I don't care how, however you want to internet it, or you still can't get away from those elements of business. That's just critical. And then once people start talking about all these upper level strategies, and like, when did you make your first $1? And they go, huh? Do you understand that day? Like, I got, and I keep it here. It's not the first $1. It's because I look at it because it was funny because when the teller gave it to me, I said I was going to keep it. This is my first $100 from my internet business. This is it, and I just keep it and I look at it. Because you can't make your fucking first million before you make your first $1. And you have a lot of people who are talking about making $1 million of 6 figures when they don't know how to make 10,000 a month and they don't know how to make 5,000 a month, but they're talking about making $1 million. I'm like, that makes no sense. You can't do it. And there's something else too. There's a mental disconnect. If you're someone making 30 to 50,000 a year from a job, and all of a sudden, a year later, you're making 100,000, that fucks with people. That really fucks with a lot of people. I mean, you could do this experiment. I've seen it done. You could walk down the street and try to give people $20 or $50. The higher the denomination, the more people refuse because it's like there's got to be a catch. There's something here. It's fake or something. You can give them $1. You can give them $5. Oh, okay. But you start giving them money that freaks them out. They will not take it. They will not, because they're uncomfortable with money. Most people are very uncomfortable with money.
Consistent with their identity.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I want to do a video now saying, hey, let me show you how to make your first $50.
I mean, seriously, that's where it starts. Because whenever I was doing, my courses and I was talking about, 10,000 a month, that shit wasn't working. But when I said 30 days to 2,500, it was like cha-ching. Because their minds go like, okay, yeah, I could do 2,500. I could believe that they could feel it. But when you start talking about 50 grand a month and they haven't made that in a year, that mentally is just such a large jump for many people. So you make 2,500, then you make 5, then you make 60, then you make 70. And when you get to 100,000, you can go from that to 500. That jump isn't that big because really your lifestyle doesn't change that much unless you just got a drug habit or some really bad spending habits. Just, live in New York or California, your life really doesn't change that much for most people. Most people, they get to that point quickly, they'll be good. But you got to bring people along a certain way. And that's one of the things, because the webinars, I don't know how many webinars I did where 4 people showed up or 10 people showed up. And then it's a way to give a webinar. It's a way to set up your videos. There's so much you have to learn to do this. That's why I laugh at people who, some of you said right in the beginning, like, I'll pay for information. I'll pay for a consultant. When I started going to seminars and when I started binging on podcasts, my income went up. It went way up. And it was just because it was like $1,500. It was like this private mastermind deal. I learned 2 things. And a lot of stuff I already knew, but I learned 2 things I didn't know that literally changed my business. It was more than worth the $1,500. But when you talk to people who haven't made any money, every penny counts. The closer the cost of your course is to what they make per week, the bigger the resistance. They're like, whoa, dude, that takes me 40 hours of my life force to make that. What are you talking about? And there's just a lot of lessons to learn in building this business and having fun. Because right now I'm having a lot of fun because this is real funny. Because like I said, I just reached out to you. I reached out to you and had Amy reach out to you. And I had a feeling you would be fun. I didn't know it was going to be this fun, because what I want to do is not just do like one-off things, get people that, maybe once a month, once a quarter stuff, bring folks back and just talk about stuff. Because like I said, this internet thing is evolving so quick. Shit changes every 3 to 6 months. It changes. So that would be a good conversation. And also, your story. Down and out, not making any money. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You say you dropped out of high school, or I don't know.
I didn't even make it to high school. I went to alternative schools. I was one of the bad kids.
You a bad boy. Okay. Even better story.
I mean, I got straight E's and F's all through school, but then I would ace all the meet tests and all the final exams. I would get the highest scores in the school, but I would fail everything else. I was totally ADD, running around, walking out of class. I would go to the gym and just start playing basketball. You want
to know what that is? This is something that's common with a lot of boys, and this is why a lot of boys get in trouble. Boys are very kinetic. If, like I said, I got kids. When my kids were little, I used to take them to the park and make them run sprints and shit. Get them home, eat dinner, take a bath, knocked out. And people are like, they're so well behaved because they're exhausted. Kids have these motors that's just like, and if you just make them sit, then they're like, it's like a bomb that wants to go off but can't go off. So it's just going off internally. So there's all of this distress. So I believe there should be same-sex schools for boys, maybe up to age 12, because if you like first class of the day, if you make them go out and do PE and run around, the rest of the day be good. So when you have someone like you who's got all of that energy, that kinetic energy, and you're just forced to sit here, you're not operating at a high level with your natural gifts. Have you ever noticed when you're cutting grass or doing some stuff or just walking, your best ideas just pop up? They just pop up out of nowhere because you're kinetic. When you're moving and the blood is moving, your ideals are moving too.
Creates emotion.
Yeah.
And I believe emotions are miracles. Ooh, that's the most powerful thing. I've never talked about this ever before to anybody or on YouTube alone. I'll talk about it right now. Imagine you ever open up a grand piano and you see all the strings? There's 3 strings per key per chord, 88 keys on the piano. Each string of C vibrates at 44,000 oscillations per second, so on and so forth. Well, I believe that emotions are like a dynamic harp of frequencies from so low it's inaudible to so high it's inaudible.
Their energy.
So an idea will come up inside of me. It'll well up like an emotional frequency, like a chord is strung on the spiritual level. And then it comes into my mind and I have this idea, a way to articulate an emotion that someone goes through in their business, so to speak. And a way to verbalize it, finally a way to speak it in a way that someone else will hear it or my audience will hear it and they go, exactly, I've never heard anyone say it that way before. A way to take a kinesthetic and add you know where I'm going with this. So,
well, no, I mean, I know exactly where you're going. Like, say you have a fight with someone, an emotional fight with someone, you're literally drained because so much energy went into that fight. So much energy. Emotions are in it. No, we talk about that stuff here.
Oh,
I got a video called Super Learning where you use Baroque music. This is the stuff that I use to do what I do. You know, it's my kung fu, it's my hustle, and it's a lot of science. It's a lot of science. Baroque music, like say you're having the problems concentrating. If you play, I think Baroque music, like Pachelbel's Canon, that's a Baroque piece. I can listen to that song over and over and over and over and over again, and it would literally calm me down. And it's scientifically proven because there's a lot of math in that song, a ton of math in classical music. So a lot of this stuff is learning how your body works. And when you learn that stuff, you give yourself more power because I mean, if I wasn't doing this stuff, there was no way in hell I can work 18, 20-hour days. There's no way in hell. And, still be sane. It's just, but it had to be done to get that project up. And that's how these startups happen. And that's why they like younger people who can work these maniacal hours to get the project to some point of finished where they can sell it. And that's where it is, because just like I did this, I'm going to have to do it again at some point in the future. Maybe not as soon, but I know that what I'm doing now is good for now. And at some point in the future, I'm going to have to enhance it. And I'm going to have to put forth that effort. And since I know that, I prepare for it because, like I said, I got these 2 platforms. I've already got mapped out the rest of the year what I'm doing. I already know what I'm doing next month. I know what I'm doing in October. I know what I'm doing in November. I know what I'm doing in December.
Yeah.
And that is just, and I mean, when I sit back and think about it, when I was in that boarding house, in that room with no heat, no air conditioning, and looking up at the walls, feeling sorry for myself, when I sit down, it's like I can come into my office, do a video, put together training courses, and people pay me. I'm living the dream. That's how I look at it. I look at it like I'm living the dream.
The training course you put together, let me ask you, because I just did mine on Kajabi Next. Kajabi's like.
Oh yeah, I know what Kajabi is. Yeah, I've been through all of them. It's the platforms are good. It just depends on what you want to do. If it's a simple course, you can use Kajabi. You could use Gumroad. There's a lot of terms. My courses are like, some of them are fucking long, like 30 days to 2,500. There's 25 videos and it's about 18 hours of content. You're not going to get through that in the 1 week. Well,
how much content?
18 hours.
18 hours?
18 hours.
Yeah, that's mine has right between 18 and 20 something hours of content. I just say 20 hours of information between the entrepreneur interviews on my course, the download to the ebook, the audiobook. I have screencasts, videos on how to create work orders, how to do Craigslist ads, how to sell to customers. I have property walks, and then I have being transcribed right now entire PDFs of everything that was spoken, and then also download MP3 of everything that was in the video form, so people that learn in audio can listen to it while they work, people that are visual can watch it, and then people who like to read it can physically read it. So it touches all those different learning styles all within the course. People pay $37, they get inside of the course, they have total access, and then there you go. They can sit down and learn how to start an entire landscaping business from nothing and overcome the fear and obstacles. I have a NLP certified self-mastery coach named, we call him Coach Rob of egoedge.com. The guy is phenomenal. And I interview him for 2 hours, and he talks about getting inside of the mind and helping dissolve and break up the pathologies and psychological constructs that are stopping people, like a wall, from getting out and getting the thing done. That interview alone it's powerful. And then another thing I had to overcome was, the first one was my ebook. That took a long time to write. Completely had to lock myself in the office, like shut off my phone all night long, tons of coffee, and force myself to write an entire book, and then record an entire audiobook, then put all the product packaging promotion together and then sell that. And that was a huge success. And I took the income from that and I funneled it into creating the time, because it cost me a lot of money to run the landscaping employee trap out of my own pocket. The income opportunity cost of my own physical landscaping business suffers to do this, because it's something that's filled with purpose. It's something that matters, and it means a lot to me, because doing someone's landscaping does create a lot of value. But what about helping people change their lives? That creates a lot of value. And if I have to suffer short term to maybe make something happen for a lot of other people and something good happen for myself, then I believe that it's more aligned and it's better and it's higher to my own personal calling. Excuse me. But one thing that I had to overcome, and I'm still overcoming, is actually coming on the internet online and asking people for money, saying, you know what I'm saying? It's
You know what helps me with that? My sales background. For years, I had to ask people for money because it holds a lot of people back.
My courses were $297 or more, and I'm charging $37 for it. It's a complete no-brainer. If I could go back, I mean, I spent $200 on a course today. That's nothing to me, and I get all the value out of it. So there's still a bit of something I'm working on.
It's a process. It's a process. Like my position is like really different from most because this is all I do. When I left the storage auction business, I got sick. My partner, was diagnosed with cancer. A lot of bad stuff happened. I sat down and looked in the mirror and was like, once you do this and you go this direction, there may not be any coming back. And I pretty much burnt the bridge. A lot of my business partners hated me when I made, they talk to me now, but for a few years, they're like, fuck you. And I just suffered through the roughness to get to the point because you can't serve two masters. And that's what you're bumping up against to right now. And it's a hard bump, and there's something you got to figure out because once you get to the point of doing this type of stuff, it's hard to do your business unless you're like Gary Vaynerchuk, who has a team behind him. Because everyone's like, Gary's everywhere. Gary's got like a 550 person team behind him. That's a way different equation when it's just you and Boo Boo the cat. And now that I didn't get an assistant, I put that off as long as possible because I wanted someone to have a lot to do versus just take a few things off of me. But you're on that trajectory where I was about 2012 because you got to figure some stuff out. You got to ask yourself, where do you want to go? Because I can tell you there's more money doing this than in landscaping, way more. And it took me a while to get to that point because I still haven't surpassed my storage auction income, but my storage auction income was pretty damn large by most standards. But I got to the point where I could live the first year. And I consider that a gift because it gives me time. Because each time, that I make enough to where I can live and eat and do what I need to do, and I'm doing what I want to do every day, fuck the money. The freedom is my cash.
Time freedom is the new rich.
Yeah. I think someone said Kanye, and I think I agree with him, that the only luxury is time. I mean, when my partner was going through stuff, when she went to hospice and stuff, I was there every day because I had the time. I had to go to a job. It was funny. I started making more money. I wasn't doing shit, and I started making more money. And that's what woke me up to the powers of this because also I write dirty books. I write erotica. I've got maybe 20 of those little novellas. And there's a lot of things that I'm working on that are my thing. It's what I like to do. Is I have fun like this. There's other people who'll be on, like you can cuss on this because see, my crowd is used to this. I mean, they're used to me, so it will take someone super outrageous to offend them. I've got a question there. I've questioned them like and people are like, I love the cussing. Don't you stop saying fuck. It keeps the but that's what's been built. And like you've built your business and you've built your following. And I just think you're at that point where you're going to have to ask yourself some real important questions. But on that note, what I want to do is just go ahead and end this because we'll bring you back. Because the thing is, I try to keep them under 2 hours because the thing is, when sessions start going, and it does. So hold on a second. What I'm going to do is end right here. We're going to bring Keith back, and I will see y'all in the next session.